This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.
It's Thursday, and that means high school football is right around the corner. This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. Let's hear about what's going on in and around Middle Tennessee from each of the writers in the Main Street Preps Network. We've got folks from Lebanon to Houston County, from Portland to Pulaski, keeping you covered each and every week. Find out what's going to happen tonight and tomorrow across the mid-state in high school football. Now, without further ado, let's start in Murray County with Maurice Patton, who has this week's update from there.
Hey, I'm Maurice Patton, sports editor at Main Street Murray. It is the final weekend of the regular season for high school football in the area, which means we've got some teams playing either for playoff seeding or for playoff involvement. Let's start with Thursday night's game as Mount Pleasant travels down to Loretto for a big Region 5 2A matchup. The visiting Tigers 6-3 overall, 4-2 in region play. Host Mustangs are also 4-2 in region play, 5-4 overall. And again, three-way tie for second place right now between Mount Pleasant, Loretto, and Summertown. Summertown playing East Hickman, your regular season champion in Region 5 2A on Thursday as well. But so both those games are going to decide a lot. Seems like everybody is in, but the loser of this ball game will have 3 losses, and if Lewis County wins, they will be tied with the Panthers. And so depending on who loses this game, someone might be out. I mean, because Mount Pleasant lost to Lewis County 8-6 earlier this year. So really big game for the Tigers in particular in terms of making the playoffs. But this is a big one on Thursday night as the Tigers travel down to Loretto. Friday night matchup, big Region 6 6A matchup as Summit and Independence will play for the final playoff spot out of that region. The Spartans coming in 3-6 overall, 1-3 in region play. Independence also 1-3 in region play, 2-7 overall. Summit coming off that big 20-13 win last week against visiting Nolensville. And again, these two teams right now are tied for the 4th and final spot out of that region. So it's as simple as the winner goes forward and the loser goes home. So we'll be keeping an eye on that one Friday night. Columbia Academy looking to kind of shore up its playoff situation. The Bulldogs travel to Grace Christian on Friday night. They are 6-3 overall, 3-1 in Division 2A Middle Region play. Grace Christian 3-5, 2-2. It seems like both these teams are playoff bound, but they're playing for seeding in this one, and Columbia Academy can get as high as number 2 or could fall as far as number 4. So plenty to play for the Bulldogs in this one as well. Columbia Central travels to the Pit. Meadows Thompson Stadium down in Fayetteville taking on the Lincoln County Falcons. Central 6-3 overall, 3-2 in Region 5-5A. The Falcons 6-3, 4-1, but the Falcons have dropped their last 2 matchups. They fell to Cookeville and to Shelbyville, your presumptive Region 5-5A champion. So again, Columbia Central with a win here and some other things falling in their favor could get a home. Oh, wait a minute, not a home game. Columbia Central with a win and some other things falling in their favor could host a first-round playoff game. They won't get a home game because Lindsey Nelson Stadium is a mess. It's been ripped up. The playing surface has to make way for artificial turf for 2025 for the Lions. So if they hosted, not sure where it would be, but it won't be at Lindsey Nelson. Finally, in a game with no playoff implications, unfortunately for both participants, Franklin County plays Spring Hill. Again, that game will be at Battle Creek because the playing surface at Buford Gladney Stadium has also been ripped up to make way for artificial turf. But the Rebels come in 0-9 overall, 0-5 in Region 5-5A. The Raiders, celebrating senior night off campus, are 1-8 overall, 0-5 in the region. So the winner makes their way out of the bottom spot in 5-5A. Be worth keeping an eye on for that reason alone. Again, I'm Maurice Patton, sports editor at Main Street Murray. We will get you caught up on all of these. Be sure and check out the website at mainstreetmurray.com. We'll see you.
His partner in crime on Main Street Sports Today, airing each day from 2 to 4 p.m. on weekdays on Main Street Media TV, is Wade Neely. Wade will have you covered in Giles and Lawrence counties. Wade?
What's up, everybody? Wade Neely here, sports editor at the Pulaski Citizen, contributor over at the Lawrence County Advocate. Time now for a look ahead. We finally made it. It's week 11. Big boy football season is upon us, and a lot of hardware will be decided on this Thursday and Friday. Spooky season in play as teams will both play on Thursday and Friday once again and try and settle some region championships along the way. We will start in Lawrence County, and we will start on Thursday, where both teams, North and South in Lawrence County, will be in action as both 2A squads in one of the more competitive regions in our area. Will both duke it out, and both have a lot to play for, as we will see Loretto hosting Mount Pleasant. Both teams coming off a big win last week. Loretto taking care of Waverly, Mount Pleasant taking care of Hickman County. So should be a fantastic matchup. And if it's a high-scoring game, the Mustangs could be in the better position there to win that one. If it's a low-scoring game, Mount Pleasant's got a great defense. Wouldn't surprise me if the Tigers pull that one out. I mentioned the north end of the county. Summertown is right there in the thick of things. They're battling. A home playoff game is right there for the taking, but standing in their way is the region champ. East Hickman has gone undefeated, and East Hickman would look to stay undefeated. Would love to knock off Summertown and cap that magical season for the Eagles up there in Lyles, Tennessee. I mentioned Summertown's got a lot to play for. It should be a fantastic matchup. There's a log jam in the 2A section of our coverage area, so whoever wins that game, especially if it's Summertown, will be in prime position to get ready for a potential, again, home playoff game. Also in action, now moving to Friday, but staying in Lawrence County, the Lawrence County Wildcats, they get ready to close it out. Big win last Friday night versus Franklin County, picking up their region win in their finale, I should say, to take care of business. But now they get ready for a non-region opponent to close things out. It'll be senior night at Hendrick Stagg Stadium, and the place will be rocking as Cheatham County comes to town. Should be a fun one as LCHS continues to build toward the future, but also send off their seniors in style. Meanwhile, over in Giles County, the Richland Raiders versus the Moore County Raiders. It's going to be the orange versus the blue, and the orange, the Richland Raiders, are playing at home and playing with, for a second straight week, a chance to win the Region 5A crown. Richland will be taking on a very impressive Moore County team who has really caught fire in the second half of the season. And again, if Richland wins, they're the region champs. If Richland loses, could finish second, third, or even potentially fourth. They are secured a playoff berth, but nothing is really decided and won't be decided until all the games are complete on Friday night. Finally, we close with Giles County. You can hear our broadcast by downloading the Mixler app and searching PCL GCHS. GCHS heads to Sequatchie County as the two powers in Region 4 AAA will meet yet again for the region championship. Last year was the same script. It came down to the final game, came down to the final week, and Giles County was victorious, but that was in Pulaski, and that was with a little more experienced Bobcat squad. So a very talented Sequatchie team that has not tasted defeat since all the way back in week 1 will look to knock off Giles County. The Bobcats have won 3 straight in the region in terms of championships, but standing in their way is a very impressive Sequatchie County team. The winner gets the region crown and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The loser finishes runner-up, will get a first-round game, but then we'll be at the mercy of the schedule in terms of home or away for the rest of the postseason. Either way, Thursday night and Friday night will be electric. Make sure you get out, check out these local teams. We've been supporting them all year long, and we hope you'll do the same this weekend. Enjoy your Week 11 slate. Wade Neely saying so long. We'll see you next time.
As always, thanks, Wade. Let's go over now to Rutherford County, where Monte Hale has you set with his Murfreesboro area report.
Hello, I'm Monte Hale, sports editor of the Murfreesboro Post. We're here to preview action this week, Week 11, the final week of the regular season. And we've got some games starting Thursday. Blackman at Coffee County. Blackman will be the number 3 seed. Coffee County, however, they can clinch a spot in the playoffs with a win here, more than likely. Some crazy things would have to happen for them not to. So a big game. If you're Blackman, you want to go into the playoffs on an uptick. They played good football this year. They played the hardest schedule in the state. And if any team's battle-tested going into the playoffs, it'll be Blackman. Laverne's at Antioch. Tough year for Laverne. Antioch had a really good season. Looks like they'll be the number 2 seed in the playoffs. Cane Ridge at Smyrna. Smyrna wants to get that taste of victory back in its mouth after a tough loss at home to Antioch last week. Then you've got Oakland at Riverdale, the Battle of the Borough, dating back to 1974. That's how long these two teams have been going at it. Both teams 9-1, both teams undefeated in the region. Oakland coming off their first loss of the year, and a thing some Patriot fans may be concerned about, they kind of have a 3-headed monster with DeJuan Morris, T.T. Hill, and Craig Tutt in the backfield. They're oftentimes all three are back there in a various role. However, James did not play the fourth quarter last week. He missed the first 6 of the games with a high ankle sprain, and T.T. Hill also got hurt late in the game. It looked like a wrist or a shoulder or both. So that'll be something worth keeping an eye on. Again, Riverdale, tremendous defensive team. You know, they got to feel like if they score 14 points, they're going to beat about anybody they play. So those are our Thursday games. Friday, Eagleville at Cornersville. Eagleville definitely locks up a spot in the playoffs with a victory here. MTCS is at Ezell Harding. Their MTCS, despite a tough season, is still going to be in the playoffs. You've got Rockville at Siegel. Rockville has an outside chance if them and Coffee County were to finish tied in the region. Rockville would get the edge because they did beat Coffee in their head-to-head matchup. And finally, Stewart's Creek goes to McGavick. Of course, Stewart's Creek has already won the region for the first time ever. They have a number 1 seed in the playoffs. They will host a playoff game. But you want to go play a clean game and get your backups in and avoid injuries and get ready for the playoffs the following week. Again, I'm Monte Hale, sports editor of the Murfreesboro Post.
Thanks, Monte, as always. We'll take our first break right now. When we come back, more previews from around the mid-state here on the Main Street Media High School Football Preview Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Stay tuned.
He shoots, and he scores!
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Welcome back into the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show right here on Main Street Media Television each and every week on Thursdays. Thanks for hanging out with us. We've got more from around the mid-state to get you prepared for what's going to happen tonight and tomorrow in high school football around Middle Tennessee. Let's go to Wilson County where Tommy Bryan has you covered.
Hello, everybody. This is Tommy Bryan, sports editor of the Wilson Post in Lebanon, and here's a look at what's going on in high school football as we enter Week 11 of the TSSAA season. In Wilson County, we've got a split schedule due to TSSAA mandates. And because of that, we've got 3 games on Thursday, Halloween, and 3 more games on Friday, November 1. Here's a look at what we've got going on. Probably the highlight game in Middle Tennessee, Mount Juliet plays at Green Hill in a 7 o'clock kickoff on Thursday. Both teams come in with identical records of 9-0. Green Hill at home. This is the 4th game in the series between these two schools that are separated by less than 3 miles. In Mount Juliet, it's going to be a trunk or treat night. They've got shuttle parking at Green Hill, so you don't have to fight for parking. It's going to be an interesting night for high school football. Green Hill pulled out a win last week over Cookeville by a score of 28-14, and Mount Juliet managed to hold off Franklin High School for a 30-27 victory over Franklin to prepare for this game on Thursday night at Green Hill. Another important game in the Region 4 6A, Gallatin plays at Lebanon at Tribble Field, Watkins Stadium. The winner of that game advances to the playoffs. The loser will find their season coming to an end. These two teams, these old-time rivals, come in with identical records of 3-6. Wilson Central, after having broken a 5-game losing streak last week against Warren County, will travel to Cookeville on Thursday night to take on the Cavaliers, the last game of the season for Wilson Central. Cookeville's already locked into 3rd place in Region 4 6A. On Friday, November 1, Friendship Christian travels to Seymour to take on the Kings Academy. Mount Juliet Christian will play at Clarksville Academy. And in a game that really has playoff implications, Community High School of Unionville will play at Watertown's Robinson Stadium. The winner of that game will go to the playoffs. Well, in fact, let's put it this way. If Watertown wins, they're in the playoffs. They'll get to go. The Purple Tigers are trying to go despite a record of 2-8. If they can pick up a win there, they will advance to the Class 3A playoffs. That's a look at Wilson County football for Week 11. I'm Tommy Bryan for Main Street Preps. I'll talk to you later.
Tommy, as always, we greatly appreciate it. Love seeing that mug each and every week on TV. Let's go now to Sumner County, where Blaine Kellar is standing by.
Sumner County Sports Editor Scott Pilgrim here to wish you a happy Halloween as we enter the last week of the Tennessee high school football season. 2 teams face spooky situations in our area of missing the playoffs entirely. Some might say there are some ghastly playoff implications on the line this weekend. Let's go ahead and break them down as we have a 2-day slate that closes out the regular season here in the Mid-State. Like I said, 2 teams with their playoff hopes on the line, do or die situations on Thursday. White House and Creekwood going up against one another for the final playoff spot in Region 5 4A. Gallatin and Lebanon in a similar situation in Region 4 6A. Really important games there. 4-6A, the winner gets to go play Oakland. Not a great prize by some. Sumner County Sports Editor Scott Pilgrim here to wish you a happy Halloween from Main Street Media. The Sumner County football schedule has a 2-day slate for the regular season finale. Starting Thursday, there are 2 teams that face do-or-die situations. Some might say some ghastly playoff implications as the holiday hits. Other games on Friday also just as important when it comes to playoff seeding. Let's go ahead and break those down. As I mentioned, 2 teams with huge games on Thursday night. White House and Creekwood battling for the last playoff spot in Region 5 4A, and Gallatin and Lebanon, Region 4 6A's last playoff spot comes down to those 2 teams on Thursday night. The winner from 4 6A will move on to face Oakland. Region 5 4A gets to travel heading into the Greater Jackson area for the first round of the playoffs. There's a bit of scoreboard watching that will happen on Friday as well. 3 teams from Region 7 5A will be dialed in, I'd say, to their own games, but also keeping tabs of what happens in 2 other contests. Beach and Springfield going up against one another. Hendersonville and Henry County in a big game, and Portland going up against Hunters Lane. That Hendersonville and Henry County game is important because the Commandos could finish second and host a home playoff game for the first time since 2021. Henry County, one of 3 teams with Portland and Springfield, though, that are also battling for the final 2 playoff spots in that region. So the Patriots are going to come out to play. It's going to be a very fun game to watch. Interesting thing about this tiebreaker is that Henry County could finish as high as second with a win, could be out of the playoffs entirely with a loss. Portland, heavily favored, I'd say, going up against Hunters Lane. Springfield will face a challenge against Beach. Though the Yellow Jackets have fought all year long, that'll be another fun game to follow on Friday. Other contests include Liberty Creek going up against Wayne County, JP2 facing off against former coach Justin Geisinger, and the Franklin Road Academy Panthers. 8 wins on the year. Be a tough task for Brian Sneed and the Knights. Station Camp, they face Whites Creek, and Westmoreland going up against 1-win Trousdale County, which has its only win off a Republic forfeit. So look at the games across Sumner County on Halloween and beyond. We'll see you back online on Main Street Preps to see who makes the playoffs next week. No. Sumner County Sports Editor Scott Pilgrim here to wish you a happy Halloween with some do-or-die situations, some ghastly playoff scenarios coming up for 2 teams tonight, Thursday, in Sumner County on Halloween, and a few huge region implications still on the latter half of a 2-day schedule that closes out the regular season. Let's break those games down, starting with Gallatin and Lebanon, fighting for the final playoff spot in Region 4 6A. The winner of that game gets to go on and play Oakland. Meanwhile, in Region 5 4A, White House and Creekwood go up against one another, fighting again for that last playoff spot. The Blue Devils started off really strong this year, but have faltered as of late. They've played some really tough competition, just as they did last year. Interestingly enough, both of these teams, Gallatin and White House, found themselves in near identical spots a season ago, fought their way into the playoffs, and played well in that first round despite being eliminated. So we'll see if history repeats itself going into those Thursday games. On Friday, there will be 3 teams, I'd reckon, from Region 7 5A that will give their best effort while also watching some scoreboards across the county, that being Portland and Hunters Lane, Beach going up against Springfield, and Hendersonville facing Henry County. This game's important, this last one, for the Commandos. They could lock up their first home playoff game since 2021. But the Patriots are fighting for their playoff lives, as are Portland, as are Springfield. The last 2 playoff spots in the region are to be decided. How crazy is this playoff scenario even beyond that? Henry County could finish as high as second by beating Hendersonville on Friday. They could also finish outside of the playoffs with a loss. So as I mentioned, these teams are definitely going to give 110% effort-wise to make sure they can control what they can control, using coach speak there, but also watching to see how these other teams are doing in terms of the tiebreaker scenarios. Other games include Liberty Creek facing off against Wayne County, JP2 going up against the 8-win Panthers of Franklin Road Academy, coached by former Knights coach Justin Geisinger. Brian Sneed's Knights will have a tall task there. Beach and Springfield, like I mentioned, Portland, Hunters Lane, Hendersonville, Henry County, Station Camp, Whites Creek, and Westmoreland going up against 1-win Trousdale County team that has its only win of the season off a Republic forfeit. We'll see who makes the playoffs as of Saturday. Be sure to check into our coverage on Main Street Preps, and we'll see who's playing next week after a ghoulish weekend here on Halloween. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Blaine. Always a pleasure to hear from you. We'll go over now to Robertson County, where David Wilson has you covered with a report.
Everybody, this is David Wilson, sports reporter for the Robertson County Connection, here to give you a quick preview of all the Week 11 games across the Robertson County area this week. 2 teams will enter the final week of the regular season, still looking to secure a spot in the TWSLA playoffs. It all begins on Thursday night in White House as the Blue Devils host Creekwood on Halloween. Both teams looking to clinch that final spot in Region 5 4A, both looking to get that number 4 spot in a really talented region that includes heavyweights Pearl Cohn and Marshall County going for the region title this week as well. This was the same exact matchup that happened last year up in Charlotte, Tennessee, when White House went on the road and got a 28-21 victory to punch their ticket to the Class 4A playoffs. Back then, Tanner Hayes threw 3 touchdown passes in the Blue Devils win, but there will be no Tanner Hayes this year as he has gone and graduated. So it's on Easton Biggs and running back Michael Albin to help lead the Blue Devils to the playoffs. This is a really good Creekwood team as well. Outside of losses to Marshall County and Pearl Cohn, 2 of the top 10 teams in Class 4A according to Tennessee Sports Writers Association poll. The only other loss came to Station Camp by a final score of 14-7. So this is a really good Creekwood team that enters White House on Thursday night, 6-3 on the year. Should be a great matchup on Halloween. Looking forward to that one. I will be there along with side Christina Moore. Moving on, the second Robertson County area team that will enter this week, still looking to punch their ticket in the playoffs, that will be the Springfield Yellow Jackets. They go to Shackle Island on Friday night to face the Beach Buccaneers, the Region 7-5A champions. The scenario is really simple for Springfield this week. If you win, you're in the dance. If not, Springfield will need some help this week. They can clinch a playoff spot with either a Henry County victory over Hendersonville or a Portland loss. That will get the Yellow Jackets in the postseason, and for Dustin Wilson and that crew, it has been a while, over 10 years since the last time that the Yellow Jackets have missed out on the playoffs. Other action across the area this week with no region or playoff implications. Most of these teams are already in the dance. East Robertson will go to Jackson County on Thursday night. They picked up a big win last week over White House Heritage in the Tennessee Titans game of the week. They will round out their slate this week as they head to Gainesboro. East Robertson has already locked into the 2 seed in their region. They will have a home playoff game next week. Montgomery Central, who is 1-8 on the year, they will travel to Greenbrier on Thursday night. Greenbrier is 0-9 on the season. They're looking to avoid their first winless regular season and avoid going 0-10 for the first time since 1984. So a matchup of 2 teams that have really struggled this year to put up points. Montgomery Central's only win came during that week of torrential rain, where they beat Whites Creek 8-0, and they didn't even score an offensive touchdown in that game. Their own lone score came on a 102-yard interception return. So, like as I mentioned, both teams have struggled to put up points this year. Joe Burns, who is 2-7 on the year, they will go to Red Bowling Springs on Friday night. That will still have that will be a battle. That will have playoff implications. The winner of that matchup will be the number 3 seed in Region 4A, and they will both travel, but the winner will be the 3 seed, the loser will be the 4, and they will both travel to the Chattanooga area next week. And then finally, Fairview. After their disappointing loss to Sycamore last week, they will travel to White House Heritage this week. We billed this one earlier this year as a potential matchup for the region championship. It did not quite live up to that expectations. White House Heritage will clinch the region with either a victory in this matchup or a Sycamore win over Stewart County, who is winless this year and has not won a game since October of 2022. Really good shot that the Patriots will not only obviously they're going to host a playoff game next week, but they also will be the number 1 overall seed coming out of Region 6-3A. So that'll do it this week on the preview. Looking forward to talking to you guys on the wrap-up next week, and next week as well as we start to preview some playoff football.
Thanks, David. Greatly appreciate all of your work this season so far. We're going to take our final break of the day. Got a couple more previews to get to, so stick around here on the Main Street Media High School Football Preview Show, presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome back into the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show here on Main Street Media Television. Don't forget, you can always download your Main Street Media Television app on your smart TV or on your iPhone, Android, Fire Stick, Apple devices, all of that, Main Street Media TV. If you don't have access to any of those, you can always go to mainstreetmediatv.com, visit our YouTube channel, Facebook pages, or, of course, on X, formerly known as Twitter. Make sure to check out all of our great shows that air each and every day. They are on demand, online, as well as live each and every week. So without further ado, got a couple more previews to get to. Let's go to Calvin White, who's up in Montgomery and Houston counties.
Hello everyone, this is Calvin White, sports editor with Main Street Clarksville. Here to give you a quick preview of all the Week 11 high school football action in Montgomery County. We've made it to the last week of the regular season, only one game left before the playoffs, and Clarksville is at Northeast. Clarksville takes their 9-0 record on the road to Northeast with a win. The Wildcats will have their second consecutive undefeated regular season and Region 6 7A title. Northeast coming off their win over Northwest last week. West Creek is at Kirkwood. Kirkwood's in a funny spot in the playoff scenario. If Kirkwood wins, they're in second place, but if they lose, it opens up multiple scenarios where they could finish third, fourth in the region, or they could miss the playoffs entirely based on other results around the county. West Creek is at Kirkwood. Dixon County is at Northwest. Northwest still holding on to their one win. They are 1-8, have not won since week 1 over Fort Campbell. Montgomery Central is at Greenbrier. Montgomery Central goes on the road to Greenbrier 1-8. Greenbrier is winless at 0-9. Finally, Mount Juliet Christian Academy is at Clarksville Academy. Mount Juliet Christian has 4 wins. 3 of their 4 wins came in the first month of the season, and Clarksville Academy has not won since their week 2 win over Glencliff. That'll wrap it up for all of the preview action for the Week 11 high school football slate in Montgomery County. I'm Calvin White, sports editor with Main Street Clarksville. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Calvin. Greatly appreciate what you have done this season. And finally, Cheatham and Dixon counties, where Casey Patrick is standing by.
Hi, my name is Casey Patrick. I'm the sports reporter for the Dixon Post and the Cheatham County Exchange. We're going to give you a quick rundown into all the games on Friday night. We'll start with the game I'll be at. Sycamore is hosting Stewart County. Of course, the War Eagles are already in the playoffs. They're trying to secure a better seed on Friday night. Cheatham County Central, which is also, they're in the playoffs as well. They're traveling to Lawrence County. And Harpeth, which has been knocked out of the playoffs, is traveling to Hickman County. Over in Dixon, Dixon County's traveling to Northwest. I think the Cougars need to win that one. The playoff scenarios are kind of weird with those, but I think if the Cougars win, they're in. And then the really big game in Dixon next week, I know Creekwood has to travel to White House. That's a win and in game for both teams. David Wilson will be there covering it for us, our Robertson County guy. It's a huge game in that region. Like I said, whoever wins, it's going to take the last spot. Pearl Cone and Marshall County have a matchup, and then Station Camp's third in that region. The winner between Creekwood and White House will advance and take the 4th seed. So a lot of big games coming up Friday. Y'all have a good evening and enjoy it.
Casey, thanks so much. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here on this edition of the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show. Again, don't forget tonight is the Main Street Preps High School Football Game of the Week. You can see it on Main Street Media Television. So please make sure to tune in, and you just may hear a familiar voice, or maybe not. We'll see. So join us then. Until next time, I'm Chris Yao for Main Street Media. Have a great day.
This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.